Namaste. Friends, co-travelers, brothers and sisters, in this great journey of life, which at some point begins to melt into the great journey of yoga. For as Sri Aurobindo reveals to us, all life is a yoga. First concealed, running as the Gupta Ganga or the hidden Saraswati. And later on, it emerges upwards and life itself begins to take the shape of yoga. It is a yoga, but goes on unconsciously, subconsciously. And at some point we become conscious. There is a seeking in life. There is a beautiful poem of Sri Aurobindo. I know I have to speak on integral living, but let me start with this. There is a need within the soul of man. These splendors of the surface never sate. For mind and life and their glory and debate are the slow prelude of a vast theme, a preface to the epic supreme. So there is a seeking in life, and we first try to find it within the boundaries of the mind, life, body, this world as we know it, understand it. This framework, we expand it through this seeking. But there comes a time when we know that the seeking is for much more than what this frame can offer. And then the frames of reference begin to fall away from us, like the scales from the eyes, and a new world opens, a new adventure, infinity, eternity, which today are merely words. And then begins a new journey. A new journey which has always been there. With this short background, we come to the word integral living. Sri Aurobindo called his yoga the integral yoga. And it's quite natural to see what this word integral means. At one level, it means very simply to take up all the different parts, strands of a nature and fuse them, merge them together in a single whole, and then take this whole towards the divine. A word we are shy of speaking, and a word without which nothing makes sense. So integral yoga is taking us, ourselves as we are, a totality, and taking it towards union with the divine. Yoga is nothing less than union with the divine. That's what the word means. It's not just mind-body balance. It's not just a state of wellness, calm, peace. It's a state of union with the divine. And what we mean by the word, because we are afraid of the word, divine is the perfection that we seek, we aspire for, consciously or unconsciously. Each part in us seeks that perfection. There's a beautiful line in Savitri. Our smallest parts have room for deepest needs. Each part in us desires the absolute. And this, in a sense, is the problem of human life, because we are not satisfied with anything less. It's a boon, though some of us consider it as a bane. It's a spur. So ordinarily when we use the word integral, we mean the different parts. So what are these different parts? Standard reply is mind, life, body, and to that we add the word soul, psychic, and spiritual. But yoga is not mathematics, it transcends mathematics. And I have a simple example. we make a picture, and if we are asked to describe what this picture is, so we'll talk about all the parts. Or supposing this very hall, it's a good example. See, if somebody were to describe the hall, one would describe how many people, chairs, everything one would describe. Maybe one would say someone is giving a talk and others are listening, hopefully. And maybe dozing, nevertheless. Is this the description? Imagine the scenario of the Mahabharata war. And there was BBC, CNN, and lots of Indian channels, Republic TV, and this TV. And they were asked to give a description of the war. So they would describe all the warriors, what's going on, etc., etc. Just like we see in the beginning of the Gita. Duryodhan gives a description of what's happening. He describes who is standing that side, who is standing this side, and he makes an assessment. And supposing all these channels were to ask, okay, I believe there is Krishna also somewhere there. So you say, yes, there is a footnote on Krishna. Footnote is a cow herdsman who was driving the chariot of Arjun. That's the footnote. He didn't lift an arm. So there is so much within us. So you see this footnote of Krishna. That's how the divine is in our life. Footnote. And we have all these ideas. Such a wonderful passage Vladimir was reading. The silent Brahman. It doesn't do anything. There's a very beautiful verse in the Kathopanishad. Suryo yatha sarva lokasya chakshu na lipyate chakshushe bahya dosha eko vashi sarva bhutantaratma na lipyate lok dukkhen vahya. As the sun shines above, is untouched by all that is happening. And so also there is within us this Atma, the true self. And it is untouched by all the happenings of the surface, the sukha, dukkha, pleasure and pain, etc. We have been hearing this. So Atma seems more like the 12th man of the cricket team. But even the 12th man does something. Not even the umpire who can say out. It's a silent witness. It's quite natural for people to ask, what is the purpose of this silent witness? Of course, we can enter into that state of witness. But then creation rolls on. So what is the meaning of it all? So Sri Aurobindo brings in, and from there we'll have the word integral in the truest sense, that the divine is not just a silent witness. He is the power, the force that drives the stars with a purpose that he hides within his heart. He drives the breath of man, he drives the worm, he sleeps in the clod, he wakes up in the tree, he smiles in the flower, in the blue of the sky and the green of the forest. Whose is the hand that has painted the glow when the winds were asleep in the womb of the ether? Who was it raised them and bade them to blow? He is lost in the heart, in the cavern of nature. He is found in the brain where he builds up the thought. In the pattern and bloom of the flower he is woven. In the luminous net of the stars he is caught. Now this is something very interesting. That the divine is not just a silent witness. He is also the dynamic impulsion in creation. This is hinted in spiritual literature, not just in the tantras, but even Shri Krishna says, Karmaha Visargaha. He is the one from whom karma begins. Impulsion. So if that be so, then we have to rebuild, recreate these two aspects. Spirituality up till now has been too much otherworldly in the sense this world, this creation has nothing much to do with the creator. He probably created it. Not sure why he created. But he created it. After that, he is just quietly watching it. He is watching the show. Not a very pleasant show. But for that unpleasantness, we are to be blamed. He did a good job. Man messed it up. Sounds neat, but not... sounds neat, but insensitive. So Sri Aurobindo brings in once again that unity we lost. The divine and this creation is not separated from this creation. This idea of a God who is otherworldly, placed high above, and he is governing things from there with a carrot and a rod, like a CEO. Now even CEOs have changed their method, I'm sure. The carrot and rod times are gone. So he is not only above, he is within creation. He is not only within creation, he is the very stuff of creation. He is not the very stuff of creation, he is all this that is. It's such a powerful, liberating statement. We find it in the Ishopanishad. It's very powerful. And this was the 2 slokas, 6th and 7th from the Ishopanishad. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmeva bhut vijanata tatra ko moha ka shoka ekatvam anupashyata. Sri Aurobindo used to recite this sloka between the cowshed and the place where the prisoners were to were making things. And then it's like a realization that, well, what does it mean? God is within all, the divine, if you don't like the term, because God word has been corrupted very badly. We have all kinds of God, and we have personal gods and impersonal God, and all kinds of God. Divine, it's the perfection that we see. All that is high, sublime, beautiful, it dwells within us. If we were to meditate only on this one truth, our life would change. God dwells within man. But this whole universe is also contained within him. So he is in all and all is in him. And just to conceive this word all is so amazing. What is all? The word integral comes. All these material objects is a very beautiful description of this creation. Sri Aurobindo gives it in Savitri also. Cosmos is his page. Objects are his letterings. Events and circumstances are chapters in the great epic of creation. And the author himself is seated within it, is the actor, the director. He is the vision and he is the seer. Daras bhitu, nayan bhitu. He is the vision and he is the seer. He is the actor and himself the act. So this great truth which was at some point of time felt in the early stages of humanity, because mind had not developed in this way. So there was a direct connectedness with creation. That's the Vedic age. There's a direct connectedness with the very self of things. But slowly with the development of the mind, a needed phase, and we need not get into that, the division, the parting started. So God became, the mind likes to categorize. So God is up there and we are here and there is something else and everything. So integral means to bring them together. But bringing them together can also mean a hodgepodge. So we have to, integral also mean bringing them together. And the word integral is used in a very interesting way. Oh, this is integral to this program. For instance, in this entire conference, retreat, yajna that we have every year, what is integral? It is Sri Aurobindo and the mother. They are the permanent guest invitees, speakers, Listeners, they are integral to the conference. We cannot imagine the conference without Mother and Sri Aurobindo. So that integral is that without which nothing else could be. So how this creation can be rejoined together, re-wedded? This is one of the quests that Sri Aurobindo undertakes. Because if it cannot be joined, if the creation and creator are to be forever separate, if man cannot become one with that from which he has emerged, then obviously he has very little hope except to sit and worship and raise worshipping hands and maybe wait for him. So this integral is not just mind and body and life. There is something which is like the essence from which all is emerged. And that source, that origin, which we all carry within without knowing, to find and contact that origin is the first step towards integrality of life. So integral yoga is not, and Sri Aurobindo makes it very clear in the beginning, it's not a assemblage of different yogas. Hatha yoga for the body, pranayam for the breath, meditation for the mind, do some bhajan for bhakti, Raj yoga for mind control. It's not that. That's never a way. As I said, you can have all the characters of Mahabharata brought together. But if we don't know Krishna, we don't understand Mahabharata. That's why the whole story of Vyas, that when he had written the Mahabharata, he is very unhappy inside. He's very restless. Now, it's such a the greatest epic, longest epic in any language, 1 lakh. I mean, if we forget about all the controversies about, who wrote what. And he is still restless. And he is walking on the shore of river Saraswati. And Narad suddenly tells him, I know why you are restless. He says, why? He says, you see, what is missing? You have written such a wonderful epic. But what is missing is Krishna. He says, yes, Krishna is there, very much there. He says, I know, he has used only one word for Krishna which points towards his divinity. He doesn't in Mahabharata, Vyas Rishi doesn't say, He simply says, aparime. You cannot measure him. He's measureless. He says, you have to write about him. Then your heart will be at rest. So there is the birth of Bhagavad Puran and of course. So this is how our life is. Everything, still there is something missing. That is the important part. And until we find that, we can't join. Okay, I'll sit for some time, do some puja, and then shut God in the cupboard or in one room. So that I have done my spiritual part. Then I'll do some mental part. So mind's training, some concentration exercises. I'll read some WhatsApp University Jnana. And for the heart's emotions, I'll do some training, refinement. For the body, I'll do some exercises. That's not what integral yoga is. The first thing is to discover that, which is the source. There is no integral yoga without that discovery. Sri Aurobindo uses the word, the one thing needful is the divine. All else comes later. That divine presence which is within, we all carry, and even logically if we see. Logically. I'm a doctor, supposed to be, a psychiatrist. It used to be my dilemma in AFMC that they were my colleague, his batchmate. Some of them would go, not all, but some percentage. In Pune, you get those joints where they give everything that disjoints you. So these boys used to run there, some of them. And I used to wonder, why do they do it? And then I thought, if I'm just a bundle of chemicals and neurons, then this is a logical thing to do. They're basically being logical. But if there is something more to me than a bundle of babbling neurons, or a brilliant brain, or surface emotions, if there is something more to me, if really there is God, and if I have not found Him, then life is wasted. Because it's the most important element. Then logically, some of our friends would discuss, what if there is no God? I said, then anyways it's wasted. It doesn't make sense. If life is just a bundle of chemicals randomly accident in space, then nothing makes sense. So at least try to do something which, if you discover, it makes really sense to everything else. Because see, Mahabharata one cannot understand without Krishna. There is a line in Bangla writing, Sri Aurobindo explains very beautifully. Krishna, through the Mahabharata, saved India. Can we imagine? Saved India? Where was India? Nobody, had thought about it. Saved from what? From whom? Krishna, through the Mahabharata, saved India. It was something which, it was ultimately, and he shows in his Vishwarup that everything, he is the one who has become all this, he contains all this, and he is beyond all this. So, truly speaking, integral yoga begins when we discover the divine. That's why Sri Aurobindo says, this yoga begins where other yogas end. Why? Because when we discover the divine, it's such a wonder. Ashcharyavat pashyati kaschidenam. Wonder of wonders, glory of glories, mystery of mystery, secret of secrets. That you feel done. That passage which Vladimir was reading. We have done with birth and death and care. And yes, it's understandable. That's what has been happening. After discovering it, there are so many analogies which are given. Like the pot in which the plant was developing. Now the purpose of pot is over because the plant has developed. But where does it go? Perhaps to heaven. But that's where the real story begins. Then we discover the central piece of the jigsaw puzzle of life. Not just the piece, but the peace, the power. And from there a new journey begins. And that new journey is mind, life, heart, body. All of it must be conquered by this presence. Suffused with this presence, become aglow with this presence, filled with this presence, fulfilled with this presence, transformed with this presence. Till this discovery, it's life and mind and their glory and debate. We may discuss about the divine 1,000 years. But if you have not found the divine, nothing has been done. When this thought takes hold of us, then really the journey begins. This is called aspiration. This aspiration for that. Doesn't matter what term we use, we don't use a word. Sometimes terms have their own problem because the mind has defined everything and then it has got stuck within its own definitions. That's why the Gita advises us and Sri Aurobindo also advises us. Shabd Brahmati Vartate. Go beyond the scripture written or heard. Because this is the problem with the mind. But that discovery. So this discovery which can change our life. This, once we discover the divine, we can withdraw into it. It's a tremendous discovery. Everything seems to fade away, pale away in insignificance, blotted as if it was death. There is a beautiful line in the Gita verse which I remember every time I travel from India to US and back and forth, because time zone changes. So day becomes night and night becomes day. And I remember the verse, misapplied or rightly applied depends on how we perceive it. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasya jagrati sanyami. That which is a night of self-oblivion, night of inconscience, night of nischetna, nityo nityanam, chetanas chetananam. There, this Sanyami, one who has undertaken the path of journey of yoga, self-mastery, he is awake. He keeps a vigil, like the stars are awake. And that which is a day, that to him is a night. All the glitter and glamour and everything, all the lights that come out at night and light up the cities and everywhere, they cannot combine together to make one single sun. That is the divine. We can light up, we can do many things, but the whole creation runs by that one single sun. The seasons change, the earth rotates, life springs up, probably will be one day dissolved. We'll probably seed other planets, we don't know, but that is the one single sun. So that which in which people feel alive. There is a very interesting conversation of the mother where she says, "My child, we make such a distinction between the living and the dead. And as a doctor, it's so, I feel pained. Oh, he's dead. After that, it's a dead body." So they do all the process. You should see sometimes how they do it in the ashram. It's beautiful to see that. And then, okay, now dead, prepare the burial, the funeral, cremation, burning, whatever it is. She says there are many who are dead, who are alive. And there are many who are living but are dead. How to understand this cryptic statement? I remember very vividly, Chomdi must have heard this voice in Sunil Das' music. So Chomdi's mother, Milidi, has given voice to these slokas, the feminine voice. So she used to take care of the mother's room, and when she left the body, her body. So one day suddenly I see her, to have dinner with her, and she would say, suddenly she comes from mother's room and says, "So, you think I am no more?" I said, "No, Chomdi, I don't think you're no more." "Okay, take this." And she gives me a cherry. Nice cherry. "Take this." And smiles. I said, No, Chomdi, I don't think you're very much alive. And after 3 days, this Chuni Bhai remembers that from New Zealand he arrives to Pondicherry. He says, I was thinking, what shall I get for you? So I picked up some cheese. I suddenly felt, before boarding the flight, why not carry some cherries? Exactly the same cherries, which she gave me in the, as if like a proof. I am very much alive. But we are dead. Why we are dead? Because this is what makes life spring forth. This is the core, the head, the base of life. There are the 3 homes of the fire which is described in the Vedas. One is in material creation, it's embedded. So Kundalini Shakti, so it emerges from the divine will, that Agni. Second, in the heart, center of the Amar, the real Amarnath. This journey is very difficult. Here also many terrorists and everybody come around. This journey in the depths of the heart is lost in the heart, in the cavern of nature. And the third is in the supramental, beyond the original home of Agni, the divine will. So till we have found this is the source of life, this is the origin of creation. And until we have found this, till then we are asanna mrityu, living as if in the shadows of death. That's why this whole realm of mind, life, body is called as Martyalok. Not because we die, but because we are under the kabja. This is reigned by death. And what is this death? Ignorance, unconsciousness, falsehood. It keeps us away from the real truth of our being. So first is to discover this truth. And then what this truth does. So there is the second meaning of the word integral. That wholeness, fullness. Everything here is half. Mind seeks knowledge. But even after studying everything, it misses on one crucial word. Someone was asking me, "You're missing something." I said, "Yes, I'm missing something." "What am I missing?" So I said, "Haven't you heard of what Kabir has said?" What has Kabir said? Kabir says, "Pothi." Okay, I'll translate in English. So it's, "Pothi padi padi jag moa, pandit bhaya na koi, dhai akhar prem ka padhe se pandit hoi." So he says this whole world has read books after books and books. But nobody becomes knowledgeable by reading books. What is it that makes one truly knowledgeable? He says 2.5 letters in Hindi, 2.5 letters of the word love. Prem. And we see a similar dialogue in similar conversation of death with Savitri. Death says, "No, thou shalt cease to love." And Savitri says, "When I have loved all, then I shall know. For I know that knowledge is a vast embrace." This power of love which is in creation. We don't know that. We've forgotten to love. We have all this thought left and right and all this is going on. But the power of love in the heart, in the depths of the heart, which makes everything come alive. See, truly, practically. What really fills us with joy? And what is that state when even the trees look, as if they are singing, and the breeze looks as if it is caressing, and the sun is smiling, and the moon is dripping with nectar? I'm sure everybody knows even those moments of love, very human love, makes everything come alive. You are alive suddenly with something new. A mystery wakes up in the inconscient self. But we forget as we grow up. Those moments come and pass away, and we are told to dread this and this dreadful energy. Stay away from it. Yes, it's true. Love can drown, love can burn away everything. And imagine what the divine love can do. The power of transformation. That is to be touched inside, that core. It's flaming core of love. That's what I'm sure Vladimir will read as we proceed in this canto. A burning love from white spiritual founts. Love can integrate, love can unite, love can harmonize, love can transform. Short of love, there is division. People believe that by discussion they can find a way out. The peak of discussion and debate is we agree to disagree. More often than not, it's a lip service and saying, "Okay, forget it." We agree to disagree. After hours and days of discussion, you arrive at that point which anyways you should have known. You didn't need. We agree to discover. So what is that discovery that Mother wants us to make? Sri Aurobindo wants us. First is divine, then that divine love. Because there are many aspects of divine, many powers and personalities, but that power which is at the core, love, Ananda which has impelled creation, remedy for all problems. People often say, drug abuse and all kind. Why do people go for it? Because they don't have the natural joy. Where does natural joy come from? It comes from love. Love that opens the doors to bliss. When this is missing, people try by outer means. They take alcohol, they try drugs, they go here, there, pornography, flooding the market, pleasure and things. We may judge them morally, right, wrong, that's irrelevant. The remedy is that they are missing out on this most important element, love. And this love is everywhere and in everything. Mother describes in one of her prayers, when you see how out of inconscient this love has pulled out matter and filled it with beauty. Wherever there is beauty, there is love. Wherever there is Ananda, there is love. Wherever there is harmony, there is love. And we can equally say, love creates beauty of form out of the formless beauty which is within it. Love fills everything with Ananda. And love alone can harmonize. No amount of debate, discussion can do it. So this way, and see our It's very interesting. Brain has two sides. You may have corpus callosum joining them, but the left and right never agree. The left has nothing right in it and right has nothing left in it. That's the tragedy of human, but the heart is one. Poor fellow. It's single. That's how it is. Of course, in many people nowadays with those smileys, there are multiple hearts going here, there. God knows where all it goes. But heart is one. So this is the second discovery. Integral, for integral life. Cannot build without. And then we see that each of these elements arrives at its fullness. Why? Because it's very interesting. The inconscient, Sri Aurobindo speaks of these two poles of existence. The superconscient, beyond the mind. See, it is there. Superconscient, where all consciousness is gathered in a luminous sleep. If we were to come in contact with that, we'll sleep. That's why people sleep when they read Sri Aurobindo's Life Divine and Savitri. That sleep is better than remaining awake and saying, oh my God, that's too much. If we sleep, after some time we'll get adjusted and acclimatized to what, it's a far off glimpse of what the superconscient sleep is, susupti. So we'll begin to become awake. It's a fact. Because that contact, the mind goes off to sleep because there is nothing in the mind that corresponds to what is being said. It picks up some words here and there, looks at dictionary, but Sri Aurobindo's usage of word, loiters for the divine. Which dictionary will explain? Loiters. In nature's instruments, loiters, secret God. Try to understand with the dictionary. Because our idea of God is, loiters. Where is he loitering? Why is he doing it? So, this whole, this superconscient, it's called as the luminous sleep, the pragya, because it's beyond anything that the mind can conceive. And its shadow, the inconscient, both are infinite and apparently you dig it. That's why this idea of testing the limits of darkness is the most foolish idea. Because it's the shadow of the infinite, it suckers like the black hole. Within it, there is light. And because this little black hole is there, this abyss, that's why there is hunger in man of different kinds. That's why we always feel unfulfilled. Whatever we may have, because this inconscient like that, it sucks and swallows and swallows and swallows. Any amount of things you give, it's so temporary. That's why people have got so frustrated. The spiritual seeker, that they have made a permanent distinction between transient and the permanent. Because the transient is just not satisfied. The longings of the heart, the hunger of the flesh, the mind's thirst for knowledge. Where does it end? The life seeking for joy and power, where does it end? But what can fill it? The superconscient love. Love is that bridge. The mother speaks of love as she says, it's true that consciousness has built the world, but love is its savior. That love can fill. And fill, fulfill, transform. She has said this, that love is the power of transformation. But man has to be ready to receive it. So how will the mind get fulfilled? Mind gets fulfilled when it is touched by love. Why? What happens? Love is not knowledge, but love is the knowledge. How? Mind is always, why mind is never able to arrive at the true knowledge? Because it tries to compare, contrast, divided. It keeps on dividing and adding. But it misses the integer. Integral word comes from there. But what does love do? Love, instantly it can lift the mind to a state of oneness. And that's what is knowledge from the spiritual perspective. If you have the key to, if you have the touch of oneness, knowledge comes. Why? Because one is in everything. And if we enter into contact with oneness, with that one, everything can be known. That's how the Upanishad puts it. Knowing that, all else can be known. Guru Nanak would say, Eke jane sab jane sab janat ek na hoy. Knowing the one, you can know everything. So love, identity, oneness, and then the knowledge comes. And love, of course, fulfills the heart. Love fulfills life, which is craving for joy, satisfaction, feels incomplete. And love, ultimately, even the very body and the inconscient. So this abyss cannot be filled with anything except love. Of course, the highest love. So integral word means taking everything to its utmost possibility by the power of divine love. Let's put an adjective, because the moment we talk about love, there are all kinds of attractions and attachments coming into that divine love. It's not easy for man to bear it. That's why Shubindu and the mother, so much, all this work necessary on the instrument so that it can bear that impact. Divine love is so powerful. Even human love, it can topple the head completely. So we can imagine what that divine love can do. So the instruments have to be ready, all this equanimity, plasticity, wideness to be able to receive just a drop of this love. So this is, and this lifting up all the elements of our nature to the ultimate possibility. They yield before love. They are transformed by the touch of love. It's called as the perfection. It's also the yoga of integral self-perfection. In the divine, this perfection is inherent. That's why when we conceive of the divine, everything that we seek, there it is. And because of which some psychologists have floated a theory. God is because we have these seekings, so we have erected a God. So somebody was once having this little discussion and saying, all our seekings we have created a God to satisfy these seekings. And I said, pray tell me, where did the seekings come from? No answer. The seeking is because there is this perfection within us. That's the Indian answer. Kim Ashcharyam. Because we carry this perfection within, so we seek. And see, even in psychology, in everyday life, all these things are very practical. Why do people fight? Why do they quarrel? The most common pastime of human beings, unfortunately. They quarrel because they want the other person to be perfect. Universally. That's why I always say when people come for, marriage counseling, who is the right choice? I say, please don't put him in that spot or her. You will be miserable anyways because you are looking for the right choice. But that other person, you are literally saying, be God. You make a choice, then build. Life is an evolutionary journey. Marriage means together you undertake the journey. But if you are expecting other person is Mr. Perfect, Mr. Right or Miss Perfect or Miss Right, then you will be only banging the door left and right and God knows what's going to happen. So this perfection we carry, so we want it in the world. That's why we suffer when we see that life is what it is. Because we somewhere aspire for this perfection. Why we aspire? Because we carry it within. Kasturi ka mrig jo firi firi dhunde ghas. Like that musk deer which carries the fragrance inside is looking for that fragrance outside. And we have found ways to dupe by putting all kinds of perfumes outside. No, it's even at the physical level. Shobindo's body used to emit a lotus perfume. And when he left the body after 5 days, this liquid which slightly, very little was oozing. So Sumantra Dav, he was in Desiree, he left his body. He had actually carried the body to the Samadhi. One of them. And people who were carried, he says, in his finger, little bit of that fluid which touched all his life. That lotus fragrance, he says, I cannot forget. That lotus fragrance from within his body. And this is true at the physical level, at every level. We are looking for that ultimate elixir, the panacea, the youth, recreating everything. That solution is here within. So it is integrating, uniting material nature with the divine. That's what we see in Shiva Shakti, the symbol, where we see that, Shivlingam. It is material nature. In Ramayana is about that. Bhumija. Mata Sita is Bhumija. She is born of earth nature. Rama is the divine soul, Vishnu incarnating. Of course, he is Lakshmi, but she has descended into earth. And in between, who stands? Asur nature. Ravan. That's our story. There is the earth nature. Usurped by the Asura. Forcibly. Not that material nature wants to be there, but it's stabbed. Why? Because evolution. Asura came before man came. Human came. And on the other side, the divine soul, and they must come together. In the age of Ramayana, it couldn't happen. So Sita had to go back to earth. Man doubted that it's ever possible. But now is the time that this material nature can be touched and transformed by the divine. So integral means joining of these two poles of existence, which seem to be parted. So all the Devasur Sangram, where you see it never ended. This is the interesting part. Ended always temporarily. Always. For some time the Devas win. Sometimes when Devas get arrogant, the Asuras win. It's very interesting. What is the solution? Will they ever fight? Always? That solution is transformation. Who is an Asura? Asura is once a fallen angel. Fallen angel that we find in biblical stories. We read in Paradise Lost. So all the Asuras, they were once an angel who have fallen. And they too can be won back, transformed by the power of divine love. And when they are transformed, then this great battle arrives at its consummation. Something which we are all seeking. It's not that some are Asuras and some are Devas. Well, both are present in the same human being. It's a question of more or less. That's okay. But that's how it is. So material nature with the divine. Which means integrating God and world. Integrating life and its divine origin. Right now this life which is fallen, accursed, changes into divine life. And this word, integral, when we look at it, it means all the different parts of a being. But are we really aware? And here Sri Aurobindo opens a whole box, Pandora's box, literally. So in your TV I saw Pandora. The only thing I was tempted to try out. What is Pandora? But then I saw paid service. So I said, done with it. Thank God. Pandora, of course, we know the story of Pandora's box. It's a well-known Greek legend. But this is, we believe, and we have these strange beliefs about ourselves. We start life with this belief, I am the bestest. And sometimes when we feel we are not really good something, we start, that person is bad, that person is bad, even God is bad. The person who is insecure finds security in criticizing others. Because then he feels, I'm good. I'm good. Why? Because others are bad, Relatively, I'm good. A person who is very weak, indulges in violent ways of conquering others because he feels weak. The strong are always calm. They don't need to do it. But once they do it, like Shiva's calm or Rama's calm. But the weak person always, he does not believe that he is strong until he defeats somebody. So this whole story. We live in a very small fragment and we have a view of ourselves, a very high opinion of ourselves, and God has wonderful plans. So always with people who have a very high opinion of themselves, He puts somebody, either husband, wife or a child, who will tell the person, no, you're not good, you're not good enough. So this is how we conceive the world is bad, I am good. Then slowly we rise beyond good and bad, and we discover that we are all incomplete. And this incompleteness cannot go by finding something outside us. Nobody can complete me. I need to first discover myself and find that completeness. So there is a whole world waiting behind to be discovered. Sri Aurobindo describes this: behind this surface consciousness, there is inner mind which is open to universal mind, from where it can receive all kinds of knowledge. All systems, philosophies, before they come in a book, they are floating in the world of ideas, and they can all enter. There is an inner vital which receives, inner heart, let's say, which receives currents of forces which pour into it. And it moves by that. That's why when people go to market, they may have gone just to accompany someone and they end up buying things much beyond their budget, because it's an inner vital which is open. And now that market has come even closer, Amazon, you're flipping it. And flipping, after some time, you turn the flipping into flip cart. You don't even realize where you have started putting things in the cart until you see the credit card, and that time you realize, take it out, take it out. That's because things pour in, currents, they enter into us. There is an inner physical which is affected by all that is happening. Is to that extent that if there is a nuclear explosion somewhere, it receives the contact. The mother speaks about smelling, a horrible smell. When the Chinese had done a nuclear explosion somewhere, she said, for quite some time, and she says, somebody has done it. She would get that smell, inner physical. We know how in illness we get a bad smell. We can also get good taste, amrit, inside. The states of consciousness, when the very physical is as if upward, it tastes honey. So there is a world of inner being, and behind the inner being, the secret soul. The mind itself, whatever little mind we have, there's so many ranges. This entire rational mind, imaginative mind, and the vital mind and the physical mind, Sri Aurobindo describes in a canto, little mind. So when you read the little mind, you feel, okay, this is only little mind. Then there is the greater mind. And even the greater mind cannot surmise something beyond it. So much to discover. It's so exciting. That's why yoga and integral yoga is the greatest adventure. Because there is so much to discover. So much that is happening. So there is so much to discover above us, below us, around us, within us. And to all this discovery, then we are ready truly in the sense for an integral yoga. It's not just mind, life, body. We don't even know what that is. So when we have discovered and aligned them all together, it's not just enough to discover them. They will become chaotic. See how people fight in a parliament. So they have to be discovered, aligned. Then, truly speaking, the integralizing process begins, and the ego cannot integralize them. By its nature, ego is like that person who is a people pleaser. People pleaser are dangerous people. They hurt themselves and they harm others, because everybody starts believing, oh, so nice. And that person will please again somebody else, somebody else, somebody else. Flatterers and people pleasers are very stay away if you find. So, but ego is that. In the morning it says, divine, I am yours, I give myself completely to you, you are wonderful, everything. Then it meets the boss And there it says, divine is okay, but boss is always right. Then it has to talk to the wife. She is always right, of course. Understood. And then at night, he is right. His ego, his desires are right. This is the state in which we live. And to integralize, harmonize all of them, we have to first discover the true divine center, which is the psychic being. So this yoga again begins with the discovery of the psychic being. Then only the word integral carries any meaning. Otherwise, we may just discover all this, which is like a potpourri. Everything is in a jumble, and like a tambola, we are playing. Which number will come up? Whose number we don't know. So this entire thing is conjured in one single word, integral. It is totality. And this totality, not only inwardly, it's not just my own discovery inside of the different parts of my being. Because I am connected with the whole universe. By its nature, integral means collective yoga. My so-called perfection, freedom, joy cannot be complete as long as others are still lingering with pain, suffering. It's not a selfish mokshawadi yoga. Everybody must rise to that. A lonely freedom cannot satisfy a heart that has grown one with every heart. My spirit's liberty I ask for all. Lines from Savitri. So integral also implies all the different possibilities in the universe, humanity. It also implies the entire creation at some point of time. So, and all this in a single word, integral. So I think it's the vast panorama. We will be over the next few days in this Gyan Yagya, dwelling upon it. Let me close with a prayer of the mother, because Sri Aurobindo used the word integral yoga. Integral yoga, if you have to define in one term, centering and aligning our life around the divine presence, if you want to put it. Then he also used the word supramental yoga. Why? Because divine, everybody has their own divine. That's a big problem. Around my God, and I am my own personal God who may tell me all kinds of things. So he used the word supramental yoga. Supramental means creator unveiled, without the veils. Otherwise we see through the veil of the mind, meaning thereby if I am a Advaitin, then I see the divine in a certain way. If I am seeking the Nirakar and Nirgun, I experience him this way. If I am after Sagun Brahman, just to use these terms, I see in a certain way, because the lens of the mind is, and everyone says this is God. But in the super mind we find all these different aspects fused harmoniously in a beautiful oneness, raised to their ultimate perfection. So that's why he used the word supramental yoga. The divine, organizing our life around the divine. Now the word is supramental divine. Why? Just to make sure that we don't get it wrong. But he lifted it to yet another level. And that's what we are going to read. And that is, he used the word the mother's yoga. So supramental is too big. Just thinking of the supramental, we become intramental. And of course, infradental. So, the mother's yoga. So in one word, organizing a life around the mother is an integral living. That's what we see in the ashram. Morning, balcony darshan. Continues vegetable darshan, this darshan, flower darshan, terrace darshan, then playground darshan. And at night, 12 o'clock sometimes, when mother would come back, again night before they are going to sleep, darshan. What did it imply? Organizing life around the mother. So, organizing, aligning our lives around the mother is the one rule of integral living. If rule we can make, Sri Aurobindo gave this rule. Always behave, one rule in the ashram, always behave as if the mother was looking at you, because she is indeed always present. Do nothing, try to think and feel nothing. That would be unworthy of the divine presence. This too people have corrupted by putting a tone. Always behave as if the mother were looking at you, making her appear like a mother superior. In a convent school, we had a mother superior and we dreaded her. That's not it means. It's the loving gaze of the Divine Mother, like a mother keeps a vigil and watches over the child. How do they say in the Bible? Sheep which are lost, children who are asleep in the night. She watches over us. Always behave as if the mother is looking at you. It means to be fearless to start with. The moment we say mother is looking at you means, oh my God, am I a sinner? No. It means to be full of faith. See, a new meaning. Why? Because the mother is watching over us, looking at us. Of course, it means always to do things which are aligned with her. Obedience, everything it includes, surrendered. So we have this prayer of September 6, 1914, from Prayers and Meditation. Higher, ever higher. Let us never be satisfied with what is achieved. Let us not stop at any realization. Let us march always onwards, ceaselessly, energetically towards an ever completer manifestation. This is perfection. It doesn't stop. Oh, I had a wonderful vision of the divine. Oh, I had this experience. Oh, I have, Shivoham, Shivoham. No, nothing. It doesn't stop. That's the beauty of this yoga. Ceaseless march. And that's the secret of remaining young forever. So I hope every time we come here, we should look little younger. That is the only 1 point criteria that we are progressing. If we are looking older means something is amiss. We must feel younger. Okay. An ever higher and more total consciousness. Yesterday's victory must be only a stepping stone to the victory of tomorrow. And the power of the day gone by a weakness beside the effectivity to come. So integral is not a dead end. I have done. I have discovered. Because there is no limit to what these things can unfold. It's the unfolding of the infinite in life. And now comes the great secret. O Mother Divine, thy march is triumphal. See, she is leading. And we are going where she is leading us. Thy march is triumphal and uninterrupted. He who unites with thee in integral love journeys unceasingly towards ever vaster horizons, towards an ever completer realization, leaping from peak to peak in the splendor of thy light, to the conquest of the marvelous secrets of the unknown and their integral manifestation, because she is the integral reality. The Supreme is within us, the creative power is within her. All the aspects of the divine are within her. She is the mother of this world and all the worlds of the gods, the demons, the titans, the asuras, the rakshasas, the pishachas, the devas, the manushya, the vanar, animals, everything. Once a lizard fell on her chest and suddenly, she says, I am the mother. And a cobra slithers inside the car and she looks at the cobra. And then after a while, God knows what they transpired. Suddenly he must have had darshan of Parvati and must have thought, I am at the wrong place. I must be with Shiva, not Gauri. So he must have gone away. And Pranabdha says, Mother, you should have killed. This is a dangerous creature. And she says, I am the mother. The secret of integralizing everything. Even for India, people talk about, problem of unity. So what does mother say? Does Sri Aurobindo say? He says, Bande Matram. Why? He says, you can have different religions. Can you disown your mother? This spirit must be inculcated. As human race, we are children of one mother, African mother, okay, if you want to put it. Humanity has the same origin. The moment we go to the origin, we will obviously grow one. Religions have come later, but the origin is one. So in the mother's consciousness, we can unite. In the mother's consciousness, we can realize the integral truth. Because everything has emerged from her, she has the secret to everything. O divine victor, all the earth sings thy praises, and all forces will obey thee. She is the divine mother, nature will obey her. Listen to her. So much I am holding back, just the temptation to continue. For the Lord has said, the hour has come, and all obstacles will be surmounted. O Mother Divine, this prayer, incidentally, this part is translated by Sri Aurobindo, one of those few prayers. And we'll stop with this. O Mother Divine, thy march is triumphal and uninterrupted. He who unites with thee in integral love journeys unceasingly towards ever vaster horizons, towards an ever completer realization, leaping from peak to peak in the splendor of thy light, to the conquest of the marvelous secrets of the unknown and their integral manifestation. O divine victor, all the earth sings thy praises, and all forces will obey thee. For the Lord has said, the hour has come, and all obstacles will be surmounted. Jai Ma.